Commissioner being interviewed this past weekend and discussing a potential not only expansion, which he says will at least begin before his time is up in 2029, but also a geographical realignment, which many people are angry at. It could really disrupt the fabric of Major League Baseball, getting rid of American League and National League and switching to something like Eastern and Western Conference, similar to what Manfred says. MLB expansion could lead to geographical realignment in divisions. Manfred has said he would like MLB to set expansion wheels in motion before the end of the decade. Quote, "Those expansion teams won't be playing by the time I'm done, but I would like the process along and cities selected." So I think he's saying that he wants the wheels will be in motion on expansion. Certainly we would expect by 2029 at the absolute latest when it comes to transitioning from 30 teams to 32 teams. Adding 2 new teams would allow MLB to even the leagues out at 16 apiece, making daily interleague play no longer necessary. It also creates the opportunity for realignment. And Manfred hinted at the possibility of a wholesale realignment based on geography during an appearance on Sunday Night Baseball, saying, quote, "I think if we expand, it provides us an opportunity to geographically realign. I think it could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for entities like ESPN because you'd be playing out of the East and out of the West." This seems like a massive change that would likely hurt baseball overall, especially the historical integrity of the sport. When it comes to the potential mock divisions, they've got Great Lakes, North, Mid-Atlantic, and also Northeast. The Northeast is just stacked. You're talking about Mets, Phillies, Red Sox, Yankees. Now, the other question is, what do you do with the playoff format in terms of how the seeding goes? The divisions are virtually meaningless. Outside of potentially facing those teams a few more times a year in division, it's not going to matter because it's based on straight seeding. And I've seen a lot of these mocks, and they all have the Mets, Phillies, Red Sox, Yankees in the same division. That's brutal. You look at the NFL model, and there is still a high emphasis on divisions. Some people are trying to change that because there have been divisions in the past that have produced a very poor division champion, which then allows that team to get into the playoffs with potentially a 7-9 record, or I guess now an 8-9 record when it comes to football. So if they do go to this format, it would be the exact same setup when you're talking about 4 teams per division and 8 divisions in total for 32 teams with the 2 expansion teams. What is the weight you put on those divisions? Does it become like the NBA, or is it more like the NFL to where the divisions still have significant weight, even with the wild cards? And then you can see the Great Lakes, Blue Jays, Guardians, Pirates, Tigers, not the best division there. I mean, this is based off of like historical records with these teams, not just based off the past few years, because obviously this is not something that would be happening until 2030. North, you've got the Brewers, Cubs, Twins, White Sox. Mid-Atlantic, you've got the Braves, Orioles, Nationals, and Reds. Moving on to the Central, Cardinals, Rockies, Royals, and an expansion team. To me, I think the best thing for baseball is to just add these teams. Like if you're talking about Nashville and Salt Lake City, which I think are the 2 clear favorites for expansion, Nashville could be added to the NL East or the AL East, which would push that division from 5 to 6. And then Salt Lake City could be added to the NL West or the AL West, which would also push that. There would be an imbalance within the divisions. Previously, an imbalance that was corrected by the Astros moving from the NL to the AL. They moved from the NL Central to the AL West, which balanced everything at 5 teams per division. It doesn't seem like they want an imbalance. I think the imbalance would be what's best for keeping baseball what it is in terms of the structural format of it. Imagine the Yankees and the Mets being in the same division. There's something wrong about that, but they're talking about an expansion team very likely being Nashville joining the Central. You have the South, Astros, Marlins, Rangers, and Rays. The Southwest, Angels, D-backs, Dodgers, Padres, and the Northwest, Athletics, Giants, Mariners, and then an expansion team, Portland or Salt Lake City. Yeah, Portland would be a secondary option out west in terms of expansion behind Salt Lake City. That's what I would say. You've also got this. There are several groups courting an expansion franchise. They talk about the Portland Diamond Project, the Utah Projects, the Nashville Pitch along with Orlando. They also list Charlotte, Montreal, San Antonio as other cities that have speculated about in 2026 during the offseason. So this next upcoming offseason is when there could be proposals that are submitted. With Manfred being gone by 2029, they would have to likely be building the new stadiums by then. It is a multi-year process. None of these cities have MLB-ready stadiums. It's going to have to be announced years prior to set everything up. So it wouldn't be happening fully, and the teams wouldn't be integrated into the league potentially until 2030 or 2031. Manfred says in this interview, "I admit it's not going to happen. We're not going to be at 32 teams by 2029, but we are going to be in the process of potentially building the new stadiums, moving ahead and going forward with the new structure of the league, whatever that ends up being. You add 2 teams. Well, 2 divisions go to 6 teams. The other 4 divisions are still at 5 teams. They don't like that, and it's also about money." He mentions it that, it's going to be more attractive to ESPN to have 2 West Coast teams face rather than an East Coast team going out west. And also you could have even bigger games and more games between teams like the Yankees and the Mets, between teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox. And it's just more appealing of a product. This is the capitalist mindset, and unfortunately it intrudes with the historical preservation. It is unfortunate, but specifically with the NFL and definitely with the MLB, you've got the pitch clock, all this new stuff, and it's all based around making the game more appealing and trying to innovate. And to me, I think this would be a terrible thing. The AL-NL is a format that is very unique to baseball in the way in which both sides of the country are kind of conjoined to a degree. You'd either want to go to an East versus West thing. It is a travel thing 100%. I'm sure players would love something like this, but just in terms of the historical preservation of baseball, you can see this. I think this is probably a very similar Fox. They put this out, and they've got the Northeast, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Phillies. That is a tough division. You've got Mid-Atlantic, Nationals, Orioles, Pirates, and Guardians. Maybe a few teams shifted around here and there. And then I saw this as well when it comes to the playoff format. MLB could choose to change things even further, both in the postseason or a divisional format. What if they scaled back divisions or used straight seeding or something akin to the NBA setup? The NBA setup would make divisions completely meaningless. Yeah, the conferences matter for sure, but divisions are meaningless because of the way the seeding works. They would have a choice because of the way their format. If they do decide to go full realignment and you do have a setup that's the exact same as the NFL, you could put a high emphasis on division. The mock divisions they're not really fair, which could be a problem if you put a high emphasis on winning your division, because some divisions are significantly weaker than others. And the NFL is dealing with that, and they're dealing with detractors who want to change it. In terms of what the future of Major League Baseball is, they're going to have to decide. The alignment is already disruptive. It feels like the best possible balance between what already is and what should be, with the emphasis on geography espoused by MLB. Well, I don't know, you're going to change the entire structure of the sport because teams have to travel a little bit further for some games. I wonder how this will fit into the negotiations, because if you guys don't know, Major League Baseball is headed for a lockout. Many people expect the lockout to go into the season, not next year, but the year after next year in 2027. Unfortunately, is probably needed because there does need to be a hard cap and a hard floor, is what I would say with Major League Baseball. It's important, and there should be negotiation. The owners would have to agree to a hard floor. The players would have to agree to a hard cap, and that's the reality of it. Getting there is probably going to take 4 or 5 months into the season. They might lose the 2027 season. Want to sacrifice that much money? That seems crazy. But there could be a big lockout in 2027. I wonder if this would be discussed about player comfort and player travel, if they decided to use this as a bargaining chip. We're going to realign the divisions to make it nicer and better in terms of travel for the players, and that could be something that happens as well. Right now, with Manfred's timeline, maybe 2030, maybe 2031. It wouldn't surprise me if they started taking applications on expansion cities in 2026. There's already 7 or 8 different projects happening within cities that want expansion teams. They're ready to go. It's just, when will the window be opened for applications from cities to MLB to kickstart the expansion process? And they're going to utilize this expansion, realign the divisions and reformat them. And the question comes, how do they get reformatted? I would just take 2 divisions and add a team to to 2 different divisions, to put 2 of the divisions at 6 teams. I think that's the best thing to do. And if they do go through with this realignment, what do the divisions look like? How balanced are they? And how much emphasis is on the divisions, along with who are the expansion teams? I think right now, a lot of it comes down to money, but certainly TV market and overall population growth in recent years. It would be Nashville, it would be Salt Lake City. I think those 2 are the definite favorites. If it's not Nashville, I think it's going to be Charlotte. If it's not Salt Lake City, it's probably going to be Portland. You could also say San Antonio as well, but I haven't heard as much recently about them being a legitimate option. Also, you hear about Austin, Texas possibly as a long shot. Maybe Montreal getting a team back. Those are just some of the cities that I have heard.